Hey everyone, this is Dr. Vic, and you are listening to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. As once a week, you have an episode with me, and this is this one, where I'll go ahead and explain some topic, some interest, something that may have I talked with a coaching client or just something through a meditation or something I just felt compelled to share that I know is going to help you from a mindset perspective or just a perspective in life, but something to shift just even one fraction of a degree to help make a massive shift in your life to help improve the consciousness and vibration so that you can understand and connect more to understanding that creatorness of who you are and how you create your reality to help you expand and evolve. This episode, this is something I'm very passionate about. If you look over my shoulder, if you're watching it on YouTube, but if not, over my right shoulder in my office, I have a phoenix. And the phoenix is actually a representation of a business I have called Empower Your Reality. And I chose the phoenix because there was a time where I was meditating and I was trying to tap into an animal of some sort. And this may sound weird to some people, but you can utilize in the Native American cultures, they would emphasize on the characteristics of an animal and meditate on it to help them teach them to have that energy or that vibration to be able to apply that into something that they want to do. And for me, I always thought it was a jaguar, Black Panther, actually. And it was always in the vision of my head. I always saw that. I loved the power of it. A black bear came to me and I was like, wow, I could see the energy of that and what they bring. And if you guys think this is crazy, just Google spirit animal character, spirit animal, and then type in whatever that is, and you'll see there's actually characteristics to this. But one of the things that was calling to me was the phoenix. I kept seeing the phoenix. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out a design for this. I got to look and see what is it that I want. I know it's a phoenix. I just don't know what. And I started having a designer put together. I gave him like 100 different images. And I said, fine, put these all together in some way. And let me see, give me 5 and let me look at what happens. He comes back. And he gives me 5, and there was one that I was kind of getting close to what I like. So I started to work off that one and then pull off some images to do that until I was like, oh my God, here's the phoenix. Now, why is the phoenix so important? Why are you a phoenix? And what does the phoenix really represent? Okay. I think this is very critical when it comes to life, especially in today's world. This is something we're doing over and over and over and over again. You do this so many times, you're unconscious of how many times this happens. And what it is that the phoenix is the death of the phoenix, right? It burns into the ashes and comes back up through the ashes of born renewed, right? This is a process of what we go through in our lives on a consistent basis. There are things we're always learning, adapting, and evolving to, expanding and evolving into certain ways. And when that happens, there is a death of something and a born anew something else, right? You get out of a relationship. You take a moment and learn who you were in that relationship and how it added being what ended up happening. How did you play a role in that? Once you learn from that and you grow, well, you died, something died, and something else was anew. Now, let me share this from a neurological perspective, okay? In neurology, you can't stop one synapses or connection and create a whole new one. It doesn't work that way. If you've been doing patterns and habits over time, there's a lot of connections that are happening in this area of the brain, and you can't just turn that off and switch over and make a whole new connection here. You have to slowly die the one part to recreate and reconnect the new, and it takes time. I learned this as a chiropractor. If you want to know the scientific term, it's called neuroplasticity. And what that is the brain is plastic. It's always consistently changing. It's always consistently evolving. It's always consistently learning new habits. That's why as a chiropractor, it is critical for humans to get adjusted on a regular basis. Why? Because your brain is consistently adapting to new patterns and new things. And if it has bad input, well, then you're creating bad input into the body, and that's going to create chaos into the body over time. And so when we look at the phoenix, there is always something inside of us that we're always going through the ashes. But what humans do is we fight going to the ashes. This is the nature of who we are. We do this on a consistent basis. If there's a death of a loved one, if you get in a fight in a relationship with your partner, or you had a fight, you made a choice on something and there was a financial failure to it, what did you learn from it, right? And once you learn, the old you dies and a new one's born. right? And these are little deaths and little new births. Think about it this way. Who were you 10 years ago? Are you the exact same person 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, hell, 1 year ago, right? Now, I say this because what happens is if you're the same person you were a year ago, you got a problem. We got to work on something here. This isn't good. Okay. Not that it's not good. It's just your goal as a human being is to always constantly expand and grow, right? We learn, we evolve, expand, and then we evolve, grow, and we grow and evolve in that way. So when we're fighting that, we're fighting the thing that we want most to evolve. And that's why I wrote the book called A Walk in the Dark. Okay. And the reason why I wrote that book was just to help individuals go into the darkness, to take on the challenges, to face your obstacles, to know that it's worth the uncomfortableness, to know that it's worth the pain, to know that it's worth going through it, because the deeper you go into your darkness, the greater the light there is. The deeper you let things die, okay, the more life is going to be coming out, the stronger the phoenix, the more evolved the phoenix is going to be. Does that kind of make sense? Everything in life has duality. That's the law of duality. Everything is a polar opposite to one another. And you can look at that. If there's something good, then there has to be something bad. If there's something hot, then there has to be something cold. Well, there can also just be that if you're in one experience, there is a polar opposite. There's a polar opposite of your experience. So if you're experiencing sadness, some of the lower vibration, emotional vibrations like sadness, grief, shame, those types of things, know that on the other side of that is the polar opposite. And you have to work your way through to get there. But there's always going to be duality. And so the concept of your life is that if you can grasp that darkness, if you can be that phoenix, which you naturally are designed to be, you die into the ashes, you go into the ashes and you die and you rise above being born anew, more powerful, more different characteristics. So these are things that if you can get into this habit, I'm telling you guys right now, no matter what you do in your life, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just starting up your own business, if you're a student, if you're a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't matter what you are, because at the end of the day, whatever you identify yourself as, because at the end of the day, the phoenix exists, right? Children are always going to teach you what you need to work on. They're always going to challenge you, and they're going to help you evolve just as much as you're helping them evolve. It's a beautiful relationship there. And you can see it in business, right? When you're making business decisions, you're making business choices and how to address things and how to face things, no matter what business you're in, there's always going to be lessons to be learned. There's always things you can evolve and grow. And if we let our lessons in life be our teacher the way it was designed to be, we'll actually achieve more, grow more, expand more, and evolve more. Instead of trying to learn and master things and then apply it, which there's nothing wrong with that to a certain degree, but it's backwards on how nature and life teaches you. And so this is why, like for school systems, I'm not a fan of them, because you're learning something and then you're applying it, right? Instead of life, you go through the processes and then you could take the test and then you learn the material. Where in life, we learn the material, then we take a test. I've never seen that in life. Please tell me, where in life and nature do you see yourself learning and then taking on a test? And some may argue, well, if I learn how to live in nature, I learned and then I applied. Well, then you're taking tests constantly and then you learn from that. But you're going to notice that when you take knowledge, and this is something I learned over time, is you can learn all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't step out and make experience with it by going out and challenging it and testing it and seeing what it means for you, you lose out on wisdom. And wisdom, I think, is the most invaluable or most valuable thing. Most valuable thing that you can attain, because once you take knowledge and you take experience, that's wisdom. And so these are the things. But in order to get wisdom, you have to die and create a newborn, right? There has to be the phoenix. Being a chiropractor, I know that a lot of times we had to unlearn a lot of things. I hear it often in chiropractic. I've seen it in my own career, and I work with certain chiropractors in coaching, and I tell them the same thing, that you got to unlearn what you learned, because sometimes it's too systematic, and that's just not how life is. And the best chiropractors, when I used to study them, it was fascinating because they had a certain program that they would follow or a certain step by step, but it was more in the essence of following, but in this situation, this may show up. And in this situation, this may show up. And it's learning how to be flexible and adaptable to each situation and what you do. So I hope I'm bringing something to the table for you guys when it comes to the Phoenix. And it's really something of just who you really are, that essence that dies and is reborn. Some people look at it from a daily perspective. Your cells are doing that all the time in your body. When you look at your cells, your stomach is, your stomach lining is renewed. It dies and it's reborn every 3 to 5 days. You look at your skin, it's about a month. Look at the liver, 13 weeks, give or take. Even bones recycle, even neurology recycles. So you have the Phoenix in us, even from a biological perspective. I shared it from a neurological perspective. I even shared that, there's a wherever you put energy to is what creates life to, right? And so if you're looking to resist and hold, you're going to create more reasons to lost my train of thought here, but it's what I'm trying to say is that the law of transmutation of energy is that you're always going to transform energy, and whatever you're transforming energy into from one way or another is going to create, right? You take one thing and you move it into another. And when you shift and change and you become that Phoenix and you die and reborn, there's a new energy vibrant. There's a new energy footprint to you. You've drastically, truly transformed. You didn't change, you transformed. That's why I call myself a transformational mindset coach, because I'm going to transform your mind that you can't go backwards. The caterpillar turns into the butterfly. It cannot go backwards into the caterpillar. It just doesn't work that way. And so these are principles and tips and tricks that you can take on. So next time you're facing something, when you see something, take a moment, think of the Phoenix and go, wow, something's going to die and something's going to be reborn, and it's going to be better than where it was. And I don't like to say better, more evolved to who you really are. And really, or you can look at it from a different perspective and say, you're getting closer and more closer to the soul aspect of who you really are. Let me know what you think. That's all I got for you guys today. As always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, please subscribe to the podcast. If you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. And as always, I will talk to you guys next week.